What's up, everybody? It's the Alex Leak and Friends College Football Podcast, our first ever college football episode. We're really excited about this new podcast and the upcoming college football season. I'm your host, Alex Leak. We got the co-host, Dustin, on the show. What's up, Dustin? Good to have you on.
Yeah, hey, thanks for having me, man. College football, 2 weeks away. Let's go.
Yeah, we can't wait. So excited for the season. And we have a special guest, my uncle, Uncle Dean. Dean, good to have you on the show.
Yeah, thank you, guys. I feel privileged to be joining in with you.
Yeah, this is awesome, and I know you're a diehard college football fan, as is Dustin. And I'm going to be paying attention to the college season more this year than I ever have. So we're all excited for the season to start. We're going to be using Dean your number system for the scoring, and we're going to be comparing it with how the BCS, how the college football actually does their rankings. Tell us a little bit about this, your number system. How did this whole thing start up?
The numbers are basically, it was established way back when I was just a little kid. So it seems anyway. I've been doing this for probably 30 years or more.
Wow.
It's the numbers actually stand for something. It's NUMBERS, and I originally established it back in the 90s. So the numbers, the letters in the numbers actually back then was the 90s Ultimate Mathematical Base Evaluation Rating System.
Nice.
So that's what the numbers actually mean. And of course, I can't really use the 90s anymore. So I've kind of adapted a simple. I just replaced 90s with new.
Okay.
Because it is new to everybody else but me.
Mm-hmm.
So the numbers are the new Ultimate Mathematical Based Evaluation Rating System.
Nice. And Dustin, I mean, you've got a chance to look at this one, the preseason ratings. What do you see? What do you like? And what questions do you have when you look at this?
Yeah, I mean, I like it overall. One of my big questions is, so like, what do you look at statistically? Is it like, points per game, who's coming back, and injuries and all that? Do you include everything?
I don't look into the rosters that deep, or necessarily who is on the field, or what talent compares to what talent. The only thing I'm concerned about is basically how the game was played on the field, period.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So yeah, the score means something. It means something as to where you're playing, whether it's home or away. It makes a difference on how much the spread of the win or loss is.
Yeah.
Whether there's a shutout or a real tight game, all those little factors add in. But there's it's all just based on what has happened on the field.
Yeah, and it changes week to week, right?
This system will adjust every week, based again on each game, and I think you're going to be entertained in how the system actually plays out the season, because it doesn't care anything about how high you're rated, or opinions or anything. It just takes the team you played, and if that's a good team, then you're rewarded for beating that good team. So if a good team slides down in the ratings, so does its value.
Yeah.
And so that value is adjusted each week. Say, Alabama wins their ball game, beating, we'll say, Georgia. Okay. And then the next week, Georgia, loses or doesn't play well, but Alabama does. That worth of Georgia drops.
Mm-hmm.
So they don't maintain the original value of that first game. It's a combination of the whole season.
That's what I like. You get into like week 4, week 5. At first, it's like drastic changes, but you get into the heart of the season, and then it gets to be really fun, and everything starts to make a lot more sense.
Yeah, it really begins to sort out which teams are actually have the worth in it. And it, like I said, every week it fluctuates.
So,
Because each week you're playing a different value team.
so like Dustin, so on here it's got Bama. If you beat Bama, you get 35.7 points. If you lose, is -10. But then if the next week there's likely someone else that's going to be there. It changes a lot.
Yeah.
What do you think, Dustin? So far hearing it.
Yeah,
well, go ahead.
I think it's pretty cool, and of course, I was expecting Bama to be at the top, them to be worth a lot of points if you really knock them off.
How do you, Dean? How do you do your numbers preseason rating?
Well, what is interesting about my system, it doesn't matter how you rate the teams.
Mm-hmm.
It really doesn't matter. It works out the numbers as the weeks go on.
Mm-hmm.
You could actually make this list upside down, and my system will adjust every week until, it recognizes the teams that play well and win, and they keep moving up.
See, Dustin, you could start Bama 131st. It wouldn't matter.
Yeah, and Alabama, if they keep winning, they would work their way all the way probably up to top. But
Yeah.
so my ratings, I use a generic, what I call a generic list. I could use anything out of any magazine or anywhere, and I can
Mm-hmm.
list it. I just take a normal list of teams from a legitimate magazine, and
Mm-hmm.
I just start from there. It really doesn't matter though. You could,
Yeah.
if you could just list it as you feel. If you wanted to,
Mm-hmm.
you could list them any way you wanted, all the way down, as long as you include all of them.
So I could put Michigan State at #1 right
Absolutely, yes. You could start.
now.
You could put Notre Dame on top if you want.
Yeah.
You can do anything you want with it to start with, because the system follows the games that are played. Not, it doesn't take into consideration what you think of them.
Mm-hmm. I like that. It's very much, and this is what I talk about a lot on the podcast, is like, who cares about your reputation, your height, nothing. Can you win? Are you going to win on the field? And that's what this system is all about. It's like wins and losses. That's it.
Yeah,
It's
and
cool.
what you're going to see week to week is you're going to see the teams that have won are going to be on top, and the teams that have lost, they're going to be down, way down the list. If for some reason one of the top teams lose their first ball game,
Mm-hmm.
you're not going to see them very high on the list at all. They're going to be down in the losers group. So they're going to have to work their way back up.
Yeah.
So, a loss, my system's going to be all over the place for a while. as it adjusts from week to week. So, you're going to be, a lot of questions are going to pop in your mind when you see who's on top and who's not.
Dustin's going to get frustrated with the system right away with that Ohio State game to start the year.
Yeah.
Right, Dustin?
I mean, I disagree. I think they can Ohio State.
And if you keep it close, so Dean, tell us a little bit about the bonus points and how that all works.
Well, I mentioned it a little bit. There's a group over here on the chart you can see that says bonus points.
Mm-hmm.
And the A and the W is away, a win away, or a home loss. You see that?
See that,
So
Dustin?
if you win away, you get some bonus points. If you lose at home, you get minus. So,
and I like that because that adds a little intrigue to it, and it makes sense too.
yes, so playing where you play makes a difference. And then you've got the next line, which is the win or loss over 27 points. You get a bonus point if you win over 27 points, and you get a minus point if you lose over 27 points.
Is there anything to Y27?
What's that?
Is there anything to the 27 points? Does that seem to work out really well? Like
It's a
years?
blowout. It's
Yeah.
just it's a blowout.
Like four scores.
That's
Yeah.
all it's saying. You beat
Yeah.
the crap out of them is what you're saying. Okay. Yeah. And then the next line is a shutout. If you score a shutout, there's plus and minus for those teams.
Yep. I like that because if you win 10-0, that's still impressive.
Yes.
Rewarding the defense.
There's also a line for a loss that is close. You lose, it goes through the whole thing where you lost the game. But if you lose with less than 7 points, you still get a credit for that.
Still get one extra point, yeah.
You played them tough, but you lost.
Yeah. What do you think of that, Dustin? What are your thoughts on those bonus points section?
Yeah, I mean, I like that, and I think it's good. You reward teams for blowing somebody out and not letting the other team score.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yeah.
Keeping it close. Yeah.
The first part of the chart is basically just if you won the game, you get the points that team is worth. Whether it's win or loss, those go in those boxes. And then these are all extra bonuses that are tacked on.
So you see, Dustin, you see all the numbers, the 13.5, negative 56, all that. Dean, tell us a little bit about the Division 2, 5, and negative 150.
Yeah, you're talking about the bottom one, huh?
Yes. Because
if you play, pretty much all the teams play a nobody.
Because Dustin was just complaining about Georgia's schedule last year, playing a couple of those teams.
But I just it's the system says, well, you won the game, but it ain't worth much. But if you lose to that bad team or that unrated Division 2 team or whoever you play, you're going to get hammered for it. So if you're going to take on a weak team and you muff it, you're going to pay dearly for it. So
it's pretty cool because I remember last year, I think we were like 3 weeks in, and there's a couple teams that had like negative 150, and it was like they're never coming back from that.
Yes. Yeah, it's pretty hard to recover from a loss like that, but you'd be surprised. You can lose to a Division 2 team and still end up high on the chart if you beat a bunch of good teams.
Yeah.
So, but it still averages out. You'll notice that there's after the bonus point, you've got your win-loss total, and then you've got the number of games.
Mm-hmm.
So every week that changes, the number of game changes. So what you end up with is you're gonna end up with an average total
Average
over
points
the
per
season.
week.
Yes.
Yeah.
Eventually you'll end up like with a 16 or 17 games played, and all those points that you've accumulated throughout the whole year are subject to the number of games you played. So
Nice.
you end up actually by that, then what you've done is you've evaluated the whole season. And your whole season is that average amount of points.
Yeah.
And that is your rating points.
What do you think, Dustin? Do you have any questions so far?
I like it. I think it's great. I mean, this is gonna win a lot of debates if you ever have to have them with somebody.
What do you think about this compared to what ESPN and all what they use, Dustin?
Oh,
It's gonna
yeah.
be a good second opinion. You know what I mean? It'll be fun to compare this and these outcomes and these scores. And I
I
think what
don't.
it does, it brings a real something you can point to and talk about when talking strength of schedule throughout the season.
Yeah, and to be honest, I'm somebody who doesn't really trust the ESPN numbers because to me there's always some type of bias, something in it. But that's just my
Yeah.
opinion. This
Yeah.
is actually not biased numbers. This is a thought out number system, and I really like it.
Dean, I talk about it a lot, like how I would say that the narrative pushing that ESPN and national media is at an all-time high. When you created this back in the day, like 30 years ago, was it a big problem then? And is that why you felt so strongly to create something like this?
Yeah, again, anybody can be a talking head when it comes to sports.
Yeah.
And opinions are good. We all have them, and that's fine. But I don't want to base the value of a team on opinion.
Yeah.
You can tell me how good they are, but what have they really done?
Mm-hmm.
I go by performance and not by feelings. It hurts me, because I'm somewhat of a Notre Dame fan. When there's a negative block in there with Notre Dame, I can't do anything about that. I can't manipulate it.
Yeah.
I can't make a team better than what they are.
It's like no excuses. This system doesn't say, well, the opponent's quarterback was out or anything like that, or running back.
Yeah. So I mean, it's I don't know. I am just so tied into this that, and I feel like it's so accurate that I'm the only one in the college sports world that really knows what's going on.
Well, do you remember last year? What did you feel like? Did you have some discrepancies last year and feel like certain teams should be up higher according to your numbers?
You may have that in your package.
Yeah, last year's.
Last year, there were teams early in the season that you would not have even thought would be considered. But there was teams like Coastal Carolina that was undefeated for a very, very long time. And my system recognized that. They played well. When they did lose, I mean, they dropped quite a bit like they would in any other rating. But while they were playing well.
Mm-hmm.
And so my system rewarded them, in the top 25. And I see that all the time. Sometimes you look at those numbers early in the season and you say, wow, why is that team up there so high?
Mm-hmm.
And but as the season goes by, it works out, and maneuvers the teams around each week. So
But just looking at this right now, it's crazy to me because I remember earlier in the year when Michigan was kind of struggling early and that lost to Michigan State and stuff, and then you see him up here above Bama, number 2 overall by the end of the year, right behind Georgia. Well, Georgia's got a nice, comfortable lead there,
yeah,
but then Michigan and Bama.
yeah. I mean, that's the numbers last year actually put it agreed that Georgia was the best team. I don't know that anybody could argue that.
Mm-hmm.
But the numbers said Michigan, even with 2 losses, played better overall than Alabama or Cincinnati or Ohio State.
That's what you were saying last year, Dustin. You were higher on Michigan going into the playoff.
Yeah. So I kind of have a question about that. So like when it's time for the playoff and they pick the final 4 teams, I kind of wish. I mean, I understand record matters and the eye test matters, but I kind of wish they would go by your system and be like, look, these are legit the 4 best teams in the country.
Yeah. Well,
Have some numbers you can actually look at, That's why I think this is so beneficial.
yeah,
Yeah.
I know, but it's still, as long as they use the system they use, it's going to be a bias
Yeah.
of teams.
Well, yeah.
It's just the way it is.
I was just giving my opinion on it would make the college football playoff system so much better if they stopped with they look good, but the numbers wise aren't all that great compared to somebody else who has great numbers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I mean, that's the whole idea behind this. It only takes mathematical numbers. It doesn't take anybody's concerns at all.
Dustin, I believe so. Oklahoma State, you had number 6 on here last year, and Dustin, aren't you high on Oklahoma State going into this year?
I am. I think they're gonna have a good defense, and their quarterback's definitely good. But losing Jim Knowles obviously hurts their defensive coordinator. But I think they're a pretty good team.
It's crazy.
The information, the preseason information, there's a lot of comments and articles and things happening all the time that will adjust your thinking on how good a team is going to be.
Mm-hmm.
But again, where you start out, evaluating it with this system, it doesn't matter. It's gonna follow that team, and it's gonna give them the plus and minuses that they deserve. So what it ends up with is you earn your way to the top.
Yeah. I love that. I think that's the way it should be. Go ahead, Dustin.
I just want to throw this in there too. So on the link I have here, it shows playoffs, and you have an 8-team playoff, which I think is fantastic, by the way. Where it says the 2018, 2019 playoff thing, and it's like an 8-team system or whatever.
Yeah, I was playing around with that. I played around with that for several seasons, and this is one that goes back a ways.
I think 8 is perfect too. That's where I would go.
Yeah, I like the 8-team, but you can go higher than that. But at least 8 teams, I think, gives you a better opportunity for some of the other teams to sneak in there that wouldn't normally even have an opportunity.
Yeah, because we did a rewatch a couple of weeks ago. We were watching that Boise State, Oklahoma. What was that, the Fiesta Bowl?
Oh, yeah, great game.
And, I can remember all the time as a kid saying, if Boise State or whoever goes undefeated, you deserve an opportunity, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. You know, the other reason why I selected 8 teams in a kind of a playoff scenario is that I've lined them up also with the bowl games.
Yeah.
So that the bowl games will go back to something that's valuable
Mm-hmm.
and not just an extra ball game.
Yeah.
You just throw a couple of teams in there and you play. No, let's make a bowl game that's played earlier in December, worth watching. You know,
Yes. I
so
agree, because there's a lot of people with concerns about the playoff and expansion and saying, it's going to devalue the bowl games even more. And everyone loves the tradition of the Granddaddy Rose Bowl and, the Cotton Bowl, the Fiesta Bowl, the Gator Bowl, all those big games.
yeah, and it will if they don't utilize them. I
Yeah.
mean, to me, that'd be foolish not to.
Yeah.
But it's just not set up that way. It's only the 4 major bowls that mean anything anymore.
Yeah.
That's really too bad.
Yeah. And hopefully it changes going forward.
I agree. I have something to say real quick, if that's cool, Alex.
Yeah, go for it.
So, based off your number system, I'm just curious, who out of your 30 years of doing this, who ever had the highest score? Like which team, which year?
I would have to go back and look at all that past history. Like I said, you end up with you end up with an average.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And if you go back to the final of 2021, you see that the average for the numbers that was only a little over 19 points.
Mm-hmm.
That's about as high as it goes. It's just I've never really paid much attention to any records or anything like that in the past.
Mm-hmm.
But I would say that a 19 points average, that's pretty good. I mean, that's very, very good.
I would say, just watching Georgia last year, they seemed to me like an all-time great team. They were so deep and so loaded, especially on defense.
Well,
Yes.
That's why I had brought it up, because I was curious about that 2019 LSU team that was just,
Yeah.
Their offense was just damn good.
Yeah.
2019 LSU against 2021 Georgia. How fun would that be?
Ooh, man.
Then there's been some, a really amazing and deep Bama teams.
They're definitely
crazy.
beatable this year, though. Trust me, they are way beatable this year.
Bama?
Oh, yeah.
What are you looking forward to this year, Dean? Do you have your eyes on some teams, some matchups? The season's coming up. We're getting excited. Notre Dame, Ohio State, that's going to be a must-watch.
Well, the very first Ohio State game is against our guys.
Yeah.
And that is a monster game.
Mm-hmm.
That will mean a lot, to start the numbers with. Whoever wins, that's the toughest game of the beginning of the season.
Mm-hmm.
And whoever wins that ball game will, in the numbers, they will be on top of the list.
Who's your prediction?
A prediction? Well, the thing with it is they're playing at Ohio State.
It's gonna be tough.
So that's a tough place to play.
Yeah.
But I like it. Notre Dame playing away.
The defense is pretty nice that we have coming back too.
Yes, I think the spread was quite a bit more than what I would expect it to have been. I think it's almost it's over 10 points, right?
It's 15 and a half as we say, I think.
Wow, that seems high.
Much? See, that sounds, that's the people in Las Vegas having an opinion. and that's why they play the game. But that sounds like an awful lot of points, but it could happen.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think they're looking at the worst possible scenario. I mean, Notre Dame would have to play awful bad to lose by that much.
Mm. Yeah.
So,
but
go ahead.
Sorry, I didn't
yeah,
mean to.
I don't know. I don't know. I'm biased on that game, so it wouldn't be fair to me to tell you who I think's going to win.
Real quick, what do you think of Marcus Freeman? Is he brings the energy? I mean, the recruiting classes so far are really, really good. Like some of the best recruiting classes in Notre Dame history since they've been recording it. What is your take on Marcus Freeman?
I think that the nucleus that he's pulled into this team is amazing, and I think it will continue. I think um, he's got something going that Kelly didn't. So I think there's going to be a lot more draw of talent to Notre Dame under this coach.
Why do you think that is? That he's in his first year recruiting that well and has that high of expectations? I mean, because I consider Brian Kelly a pretty good coach. What do you think the difference is? Is it that much better of a staff around him?
I think the staff makes it different, but I think it's just the personality.
Really?
Some people relate better to recruits than others.
Mm-hmm.
I think Kelly's going to have a hard time in Louisiana.
Yeah.
Pulling in talent.
He needs to work on his fake accent.
Yeah, because I don't think that people will relate to him, and I don't think people related to him even at Notre Dame. I mean, he was good coach, I agree, and I wasn't real happy to see him leave, but the replacement I think is even better. So.
Yeah.
See, what I had thought was like that Kelly was living the narrative at Notre Dame. He was like, in my opinion, he was kind of brainwashed and was told like, you can't bring in the top guys because of the academics. Well,
yeah,
Marcus Freeman stepped in and proved like, hey, that's wrong. That is, I came here, I'm gonna work hard, I'm gonna bust my ass, and I'm gonna show you that I can get the top players in the country that fit the University of Notre Dame.
Yes. Yeah, that's been the complaint for a very, very long time of being limited access to talent.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is now going to be obviously different.
Do we get a championship soon?
Yeah, I would. They got as good a chance this year as anybody.
I've been saying that. Do you hear that, Alex?
I've been saying my thing is he's killing it at recruiting, which is a great start. Now I want to see how he does actually coaching. See, like you said, it matters wins and losses. But from what I've been hearing, most people are saying it's easier for a first year coach than a second year coach. Is there some truth to that, you think? For a first year coach to win and then they kind of adjust, or because he's new, or I don't know. I've been telling Dustin. Dustin thinks they're going 12-0. I'm thinking more like 9-3, 10-2 for a first year.
Yeah, it's really hard to say. It depends on how the players relate to that coach.
Mm-hmm.
If they're into the system, they will play well.
Yeah.
If they're into the coach, if they really believe in the system, they'll perform. I think that's always been the case. A coach can stay too long at a place, and
Yeah.
they lose their luster, and pretty soon the players will they're not really sure that we're going to be that good. But starting back with him, all I hear is very big, good, positive vibes from
Do
the players. And
The
so I think
players,
they'll perform.
the players absolutely love Marcus Freeman, and I watch, clips from Notre Dame practices every day. He has them guys ready to run through a brick wall for him. If he said, "Hey, I need you to run through a brick wall," 90%, if not the whole team, is going to do it. I don't know how Freeman does
Yes.
it, but he's just
seems like
the
a
man.
natural.
Yeah, and I mean, you have players coming on, you know, ESPN talking about what makes Freeman so good is, he's a player's coach, but he can also relate to them and get them better, and
Yeah.
you know, and he has
Mm-hmm.
high energy, and he's always at the practices, always at the workouts. He was even lifting weights with him, and that's something, Kelly would be gone for 5 or 6 months out of the time. Marcus Freeman has been there since he took over the head coaching job.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, that's that different personality. And, it just depends on the players that you have. They'll either relate well with a new guy or not, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I think they'll relate well with him. Um, I do think that they will have the ability, the talent, and the will to go all the way. I mean, they could lose the first game to Ohio State and still end up in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
They're
Yeah,
that they'll be that good, because a loss to Ohio State, if they maintain their expectation, that again, even the numbers will show that will pull Notre Dame up.
Tyler
Do you
Buckner, I
go
think
ahead?
is gonna. Tyler Buckner, I think is going to play really well, and I think Isaiah Foskey has one hell of a season.
Yeah, we can only watch and see.
Yeah,
What do
yeah.
you What do you think, Dean, of so USC? Do you think USC is going to bounce back and get back to where they used to be pretty quickly? They have the quarterback. Who's the quarterback, Dustin?
It is.
Caleb Williams
Yep. From played at Oklahoma last year under Lincoln Riley.
and Lincoln Riley at USC. That's something I'm keeping my eye on. Like Notre Dame, the big question mark is Ohio State. That's the big game. If they can shock the world and win that game, then they're set up. But what you can't do is get tripped up later in the year by like a USC or a Clemson. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Do you think USC is going to be a threat instantly, or is it going to be a little bit of a build over there?
I think they'll be a threat, but they're so far down. They've been
Yeah,
down for so long they can't go anywhere but up.
yeah,
So I gotta believe that they'll be better. Whether they'll contend, whether they'll contend with the
yeah.
rest of the teams out there, again, you don't know. I mean, will they relate to this coach or not?
My prediction is they will. I think it's a great hire. You're bringing your quarterback with you. I think USC is going to be back pretty quick,
Yeah,
but I could be
I would
wrong.
I would expect them to improve all the time, and maybe one day be one of the elite teams.
Yeah,
Um, but you've got to have the right guy on top. You got to be able to recruit, and USC has normally always been able to pull into great talent. So there is no excuse for them to be so bad.
yeah,
So
yeah. I know, and I think it's good for college football when they're good. Same for Texas. Same for Oklahoma.
yeah,
Dustin, what do you think about Bama and Georgia? Like, do you think Kirby Smart is this a little bit of a changing of the guard? Do you think Kirby, after beating Nick Saban and Bama last year, getting that elusive championship, do you think Georgia can take control of the SEC and be the new Bama, and Kirby Smart get multiple championships like Saban?
Well, I mean, first of all, it started off with the recruiting classes. I think Georgia had they've been in the top three for like what the last 3 years,
Yeah,
and Alabama really this year, if you look at their roster, they don't have those guys that are very, very explosive at the receiver, and I mean their defense is going to be no joke, but they don't have
Mhm.
the explosiveness on offense. They don't have what we used to see in the Devontae Smith, the Jamison Williams, the Jerry Judy, the
Yeah.
Jay Waddle. They don't have those guys. So I think Georgia has a very, very good shot at winning the SEC this year.
Wow.
Yeah, Georgia, the position that I compare with those two teams is the quarterback.
Yeah.
To me, that's the decider between the two.
And what do you think of Bryce Young?
Well, after winning the trophy, I guess he must be pretty good.
Yeah. there's
Yeah,
a lot of there's a lot of buzz about CJ Stroud this year at Ohio State.
Yeah, well, I mean, anytime you bring back the Heisman Trophy winner,
Mm-hmm.
that will elevate your team,
Yeah.
because he's going to demand all the other guys to live up to that level. He's not going to want to end up looking bad, you know.
Yeah.
So I think there's a fair amount of, bringing the rest of the players along when you're that kind of a person. So, Bama's going to be hard to beat, but they can be beaten.
Yeah. And then you're kind of a Texas Longhorns fan, aren't you, Dean?
Yeah, I spent a few years living in Texas and kind of got attached to the Horns.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've been disappointing for some time, but they're clawing their way back in it.
There was an unbelievable game against Oklahoma last year.
Yeah,
I was I was rooting for them. What do you think of? I mean, it looks like they landed Arch Manning, and then they're looking them in Oklahoma going to the SEC. To me, that's sacrilegious. Oklahoma and Texas should be dominating the Big 12, not leaving for the SEC. What do you think of like some of this conference
they
realignment?
yeah yeah they should be the leaders of the pack. They ought to
Yeah,
they ought to stay there and build that conference instead
yeah,
of running off looking for money.
yeah.
I'm
Same,
disappointed in that.
yeah.
So
I think they're going to struggle. I think they are. So the SEC is not the Big 12. Well, go ahead, Dustin.
so yeah, my take on that real quick is first of all, I blame Texas and Oklahoma for starting all this conference realignment BS.
Yeah.
I don't
Now,
like it. I don't think it's good for college football, in my opinion. But my question for your uncle is: do you think after all this is said and done, does Notre Dame get into a conference or no?
Oh my gosh, that's always the big question, isn't it?
I have to
That
ask.
comes up. That comes up all the time. I'm telling you, there's a lot of conferences that would beg to have them involved in their conference.
I
Um,
think they should go to the Big Ten. It would bring back the Notre Dame Michigan rivalry, get Michigan State too.
I mean, if you think about it, when their contract with the college football playoff is up, if they're allowed to make the playoffs being independent, I think that they decide to stay independent.
yeah, it would take an unbelievable act of God to change Notre Dame's look upon being independent.
Yeah.
They relish that notoriety. It means a lot to the fans, you know. Um, and the thing of it is now, I mean, why would you even join a conference now with the chaos that they're all in? You
Yeah,
know,
kind of like sit back and wait and see at this point.
yeah, wait and find out what happens. We're going to end up with probably a handful of conferences that are going to have
Hmm.
20 teams in it,
Yeah.
and it's going to be ridiculous. Um, so, I mean, it's just going to be chaos. And until you make it really worth winning a conference, I mean, who cares?
Yeah, like if you can keep getting into the playoff as an independent, what does it matter?
Yeah,
Well, I mean, you even have to think sometimes a conference champion don't even get into the playoffs.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. That to me, that's how the playoff should be set up. Starting with the conference championships,
I agree.
and
Like,
then you fill in the rest of
yeah.
them. Make it
And
make
we worry about seeding later, but it should start with conference championships. It's like you win your championship, that's an automatic bid.
it should be.
Yeah.
But you can't do that with 4 teams.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
but
We'll
no,
see.
I don't see Notre Dame changing their attitude. They have to with the other sports. They
Mm-hmm.
got to have some affiliation in order to fill out schedules and all that sort of thing. But Notre Dame has no problem filling out a schedule as an independent.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, that gives them the open door to play guys like I think it's like 2028, 2029. They play Alabama in those 2 years, and then Texas A&M in 2024. So it's like you get the opportunity to play the big time schools like that.
Yes, and what is interesting, what I've seen in the past is this scheduling sometimes goes way out several years, and by the time it rolls around that we actually play those teams, they're not necessarily that good. So Notre Dame gets criticized for a poor schedule. I've seen that so many times. You have someone that's really good, and then they turn out to be a terrible team by the time you play them.
Yeah,
But but still, you want to see them play the Alabamas and these other teams that have history.
and also it's the big like TV deals and everything. If Notre Dame can remain independent, they're obviously going to get one of the biggest TV deals ever. So
I have a question. I'm looking at the schedule. So we're gonna get some football August 27th. We got before the official week 1 begins, Nebraska, Northwestern, and Dublin. Dustin, you didn't say anything about that. That's a pretty sweet game. In Dublin, Ireland.
I said 2 weeks ago, so they consider that week 0.
Week 0. How are teams playing in Ireland and the Irish aren't playing?
Well, that's next year.
Next year?
Yeah, in 2023, Notre Dame opens up against Navy in Ireland, so it's actually.
Well, that's cool. This one should be fun too. Nebraska, Northwestern.
Yeah, that to me is going to set the tone for both the team's season. I mean, Pat Fitzgerald needs a win, and we all know Scott Frost needs a win.
I got Northwestern, by the way.
Ooh, I got Nebraska. Nebraska has Texas Casey Thompson from Texas transferred to Nebraska, and he's a pretty good player.
Nice. I can't wait, man. This season's gonna be so much fun. Dean, I know you probably don't want to come on every week, but we get 1 weekend. There's gonna be some pretty good games. Maybe after week 1, after Notre Dame, Ohio State, maybe try to get you back on and go over the couple games early in the season on the numbers.
Yeah, I'm available anytime you want
Yeah.
my input. Yeah, I don't know that we can discuss it every week, and other than for a while everybody's going to be confused.
That's a fun part, though. I'm ready for Dustin to be freaking
out. Really quick.
Just remember, after the Notre Dame Ohio State game, one team's going to be on the top, and the other one's going to be way, way down the list, and everybody's going to go, "What the heck?"
They got time to recover, though.
When you're the first loser, you're behind all the winners, aren't you?
Absolutely. That's something we need to educate LeBron fans on, but that's for a different podcast.
Yeah,
go ahead, Dustin.
We can't do a podcast without mentioning LeBron, huh?
We don't want to talk about him.
Anyway, my question is, this is actually more of a statement, but if Notre Dame goes into Columbus and upsets those Buckeyes, man, the media is going to be all over the Irish.
Yeah, and then it's about blocking out the noise, right? Like everyone's going to tell you how good you are, and you have to remain humble and take care of Clemson, USC, Boston College, guys like that.
And that's my thing is like, you're going to be coming off a big emotional win if you win, and you have a couple trap games in there. You have to go to North Carolina. Going to Chapel Hill is not going to be a fun place to play after coming off a big emotional win.
Yeah, well, that's where coaching comes in. You got to keep your guys. You got to keep your guys focused. I think he can do it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you're talking about, that's just one game. What is our goal? We can't be just playing mediocre ball from here on and expect to make the goal.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I think a big win like that would really pump them up and make them stronger.
Even at one loss, Dustin, you got to have your eyes set on the playoffs this year, huh?
Absolutely. Yeah. If Notre Dame loses one, their schedule alone this year under one loss gets them into the playoffs, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree. If they run the table after an Ohio State loss, they're still in the top 4.
Yeah.
I would guess.
Yeah.
Because that's a quality loss.
Yeah.
That is probably the best loss you could ever have. Okay, so that's what the numbers does. It evaluates that amount of loss to that team, and the higher that team is, the lower the minus is.
Yeah.
So I mean, there is such thing as a good loss.
Yeah. I like that. Dustin, I swear, like looking at this whole number system, it seems to take everything into consideration, everything that matters, It takes away the excuses, it takes away who's playing, who's not. It goes to simply on the field, and it's a results-based system. And I like that. And I think it's going to be a lot of fun all season long following along with this and breaking it down, Are you excited for that?
I'm more than like it, man. I love it. Like this gives you a perspective of this. Not only are the numbers great, but this also shows like how much bias the media and stuff is.
Yeah, that's why I like it too.
This brings out like the truth upon college football. You want to know who the elites are? These numbers will show you who the elites are.
Yeah. You can't give Dustin all the information, Dean, because he'll use all of it in his debates on Facebook talking college football against his friends. Dustin lives for that.
Your secret's safe with me. Just have you ever tried to like try to sell it to see if any of these, like Vegas, would they ever want to go off your number system?
I would say, this has been such a joy for me.
Mm-hmm.
I originally developed it simply because I just love the sport, and I wanted to see if I could develop something that would be more reliable than opinion.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why I developed it. And then I just enjoyed it every year, feeling that I know what's going on and feel very comfortable with it. I think there's a lot of people out there that would like to have a little more input as to, or a little more insight into the sport. And this is very intriguing because it is so roller coaster oriented for several weeks that it just intrigues you as to how a team can falter yet climb its way right back into the top. And it's fun to see that.
Yeah, it's very well built. It's, you know, and we want to get it out there. We want to get some eyes on it, get some people reacting to it and talking about it. You know, you've been working on this thing for 30 plus years. It's cool to see it in front of us, and I know, you know, it means a lot. It's cool, and we want to kind of see if we can do something with it because people need to see it and hear about it, and you know, it's very cool.
It is very, actually, you think about it and look at it,
Mm-hmm.
it may look a little intimidating, but it is really very simple.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I mean, if you just put the numbers in the right place, you know,
Yeah.
it will do the right thing. And and it doesn't take a lot of figuring out, you know. Uh,
Yeah.
it's pretty basic. Most anybody, I think, um, can can work a system like this very easily.
Mm-hmm. The
Uh,
numbers are all right in front of you. You just got to put them in the right spot.
yeah, it's I don't know. I mean, you can screw it up by pushing the wrong button, you know, very easily. And I have done that. But you know, if you're paying attention and you're running those numbers the way they should, again, it's just, to me, it's fascinating.
Yeah.
Um, you know,
So, like, how many hours does it take to create something like this?
to create the whole spreadsheet and worksheet.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
like, you have the preseason and then the final rankings. Like, how did that take days or hours, or did you?
Well, I don't know. I can't tell you how long it took me to create the whole idea. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it was a lot of trial and error. It took a long time to get the values of the win and the loss uh,
Mm-hmm.
to the point where it made sense. You know,
Yeah.
um, so I mean that was something that was massaged for several years actually. Um, so I mean, to create the spreadsheet was pretty simple and pretty actually.
Mm-hmm.
You got the formulas that are run across the whole spreadsheet. You know, once you've got that established, it's all basically pretty simple. But the design of it and the thought behind it, pretty much it took years to do it. Um, and someone else could do a similar thing. It wouldn't take a genius to come up with something compatible.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that's one reason why I'm very cautious as to let just anybody see the way it works.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, who Jeff Segrin is?
No. Do you,
He
Dustin?
he's with he has his own uh, mathematical rating system
Mm-hmm.
that USA Today has used for years.
Yes.
Okay, um, and he's not sharing that with anybody. He
Yeah.
doesn't he doesn't want anybody to know how his system works.
Yeah.
So, and I'm kind of touchy too. I don't want someone to be able to just copy it and run with it.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
We'll just talk about the numbers.
I'd much rather be in a situation where I control the whole aspect of it.
Yeah.
Um, but again, the minute someone sees this, they can develop something similar that has any uh, knack of mathematics.
Mm-hmm.
It's simple enough to do. So I
I
kind of
can't.
like the idea of me knowing what's going on and nobody else does,
Yeah.
and how I get there is kind of none of their business.
Well,
Other than that's it works itself out.
well, it's gonna be awesome. I mean, I can't wait for the season to start, and then we'll follow along, you know, with your spreadsheet and get the updates week to week. And if we've got an interesting week or two, have you back on and talk about, like some big movement on the board and all that. So I can't wait for the season and watching some football all fall, all winter long.
Yeah, remember now, the first week is actually, if you look at it, it's 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Okay. And if you look at the spreadsheet, you've got week 1A and week 1.
Yep.
So they are actually, in my system, they are treated like 2 separate weeks.
Okay.
Okay. So at the end of 1A, there's going to be a brand new setup of who's number 1 and who's where.
That's gonna be like Northwestern, number 1 overall.
Yeah. And then after the second part of week number 1, it'll do it all over again.
Yeah.
So, there isn't a whole lot of real interesting games in the first Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
There's a couple of games, Nebraska, Northwestern will be interesting,
Yeah.
but other than that, you at the end at the end of week 1A, most likely the team that wins the Nebraska Northwestern game will be on top.
just like you predicted, Dustin. Northwestern.
Yeah, because see, whoever wins, they're going to be a winner. So all these teams that haven't played yet, they don't have a record.
Yeah.
So they're going to fall behind the winner. You see?
Yeah.
So it's going to be a really mind twisting thing for a while.
Well, I can't wait. It's gonna be a lot of fun. We appreciate you coming on, Dean. You're welcome on anytime. And then yeah, it'll be fun to have you on maybe after the second week, or the full complete 2 weeks of week 1. Have you on, talk what happened at Notre Dame, Ohio State, and the other big games, and then we'll go from there. It should be a fun season.
Yeah, then we'll have something to talk about that people are going to go, what?
Yeah, Dustin's going to have a lot to say no matter what happens, Notre Dame, Ohio State.
Yeah.
Right, Dustin?
Oh yeah, man. Definitely. See, I'm a die hard fan. I shed tears when we lose, and I talk BS when we win. So.
Well, I've grown out of the tears. My body aches.
You get like a pit in your stomach
when it's negative, But I get over it, and it's like, okay, well, it's the way it is.
I know what
to do about it now.
The pain is hard, but you know what? I think brighter days are ahead, and I think it starts with this season. Trust me, people are sleeping on this Notre Dame football team, and I think they're going to be something special.
Yeah, I hope you're right there. I feel very good about them too. We'll just see if they're united and have the will to go all the way.
But what I'm looking forward to the most is seeing if Michigan State can get 3 in a row on the old blue. Big brother over there. That's what I'm looking forward to.
I don't think that Michigan will take it very easily if they happen to slip there again.
Yeah, no.
There'll be some changes made.
That's fine. Let Jim Harbaugh go to the Bears. We're cool with that too.
Absolutely, and it shouldn't happen. Michigan should be pretty good too. Yeah.
Yep. As always, they're always tough to beat. So it's gonna be a lot of fun. Thanks so much for coming on, Uncle Dean. It was a blast.
Well, again, I really appreciate it. I'm honored to be involved with you guys.
Yeah.
I like to throw my little 2 cents in once in a while too. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
You guys got a good thing going there, and I hope it just explodes in the right way for you.
Yeah. I appreciate meeting you, and man, I'm just glad that I had somebody else, come on here who understands college football the way I do. So.
What are you talking about, Dustin? I know college football.
No, no nag at you or nothing, bro. I'm just saying, Like somebody who lives and breathes college football, you know.
You just like that he's a Notre Dame fan. I see what you're doing. No, I'm just joking. We're working on trying to get a couple of Texas Longhorn legends. We might be having one on next week, and we're working on another really big one in a couple weeks. So stay tuned for that, college football fans. Thanks, Dustin, for coming on. Good stuff as always.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yep, and thanks, Dean. You're welcome on anytime. This is a great system you got, and we look forward to following along all season long. And appreciate everyone. Have a great week, guys, and peace out.